Hi algebra students, this is the introduction video for connecting equations to graphs. In this lesson we're going to be talking about a different way you can graph some of the equations we've been looking at. First, some vocabulary. This first one we're already familiar with. It's slope-intercept form. In slope-intercept form we have learned it looks like y equals mx plus b, where the m in that formula always represents the slope of the line, and that b represents your y-intercept. The other type of equations we've been looking at this week are equations that look like this. So just as an example, something like 3x minus 4y equals 12. Equations where your x and your y are on one side of the equation and a number or constant is on the other side, we call that standard form. And so, for example, if I asked you to graph this equation right here, this equation is not in slope-intercept form. It does not have y equals. It does, though, have our x and our y on one side of the equation and a number on the other. So this equation is in standard form. One way we have learned to graph this equation is by solving for y. We've learned and we've spent the past couple days talking about if you take this equation and move stuff around so that it looks like slope-intercept form, we can then graph it. The other way, though, you can graph equations like these is by finding your x-intercept and finding your y-intercept. And you do this by using the number 0. This equation right here, when it's in standard form, it makes it really easy to find these two things. If you want to find your x-intercept, you let y in your equation be 0. And if you want to find the y-intercept, you let x in your equation be 0. So for our x-intercept, it's taking this equation 2x plus 5y and replacing 0 with the y to solve this equation. And to find our y-intercept, same thing, except our x is going to be the number 0. And that will let us solve for our y-intercept. Go ahead, pause the video here and finish solving these two equations. When you find your x-intercept, 5 times 0 is 0. That's nothing. So it's like this equation just becomes 2x equals 15. We divide both sides by 2, and we get x equals 7.5. For our other equation, that 2 times 0 is 0. It becomes nothing, and we just have 5y equals 15. Divide both sides by 5, and we get y equals 3. When we talk about intercepts, normally we are talking about them as a pair of numbers. So for our x-intercept, x is 7.5, that comes first, and then we've already said y is the number 0. For our y-intercept, x is the number 0, and our y is the number 3. Finding your x and your y-intercept is usually pretty easy because when you're using the number 0, it makes the math really easy. This is a second strategy you can use to graph equations because now I have 2 points that I can mark on my graph. For your x-intercept, that's going to be the point on your x-axis, and so my x-intercept is at 7.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 7.5 would be right here. And then same thing for my y-intercept is at 3. So 1, 2, 3, and that's this point right here. And I'm going to go ahead and just label those two. And now that I have 2 points, it's really easy for me to see where that line is. I can go ahead and connect those 2 points with my line, and that is our graph. You would end up with the same line, the same graph, if you were to solve this equation for y and use slope-intercept instead. There are also going to be questions we see where we need to know our x and our y-intercepts. There's going to be questions when we look at stories about what these points mean. So knowing how to do this math is going to be really important for us. There's one down here for you to try. Use the same process we used for this example. Pause the video, try, and then come back to see how you did. Okay, I got it all ready for us here, where to find our x-intercept, we're going to use 0 for y. If this is my equation here, when I substitute 0 for y, it means I'm taking out the y, just the y, not the 2y. I'm taking out our y and putting the number 0 there. When I do that, 2 times 0 is 0, so all of this becomes 0, and all I have left is x equals 4. I already have my x-intercept. We'll do something similar over here. For my y-intercept, I need to make x the number 0, so that means I'm taking out my x and putting in the number 0. That gives me 0 minus 2y, or just negative 2y, because remember 0 is nothing, equals 4. I can finish solving this one by dividing both sides by negative 2, and that gives me y equals negative 2. So my two intercepts are going to be at the point 4, 0, and at the point 0, negative 2. 4, 0 is going to be 4 on my x, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that point right there. And then my y-intercept at negative 2 would be down here at negative 2. I've got 2 points now, so now I can see exactly where our line is. And we've got our graph there. We'll be doing this process more in today's lesson, as well as talking about stories and what these points might mean in a story. Thanks so much for watching.